Hey, what's up guys? This is Rob and welcome back to Rule of Two Review. Probably what is going to be the last of the vlog format filming my face kind of video thing for this little stint where I haven't had any of my hardware and stuff working and able to do my typical format. I'm pretty sure, like I just said, I think this is going to be the last that I'm forced to kind of do this way, at least as far as filming myself for the entirety of the video. By the next video, I should be good to go, up and running, and back to my typical video game footage format. So I'm really excited to be able to do that. You know, your guys' patience, and I guess some of my own patience, and dealing with not being able to do my typical format and having to film my face with my iPhone for a couple videos has been unfortunate. You know, I haven't really loved having to do it this way, but it is what it is. I'm glad that you guys seem to be okay with it. Didn't really mind being able to finally, you know, watch my face instead of the video game footage format. I did hear some feedback, you know, even though everyone said it was totally okay that I had to do it this way and still enjoyed the two videos that I've made so far. That's great. But a couple people did mention how they really did enjoy the video game footage that I was doing before. So don't worry, that's going to be coming back. I'm pretty sure by the next video. I've gotten a bunch of my stuff kind of worked on, fixed, asked some buddies who kind of understand the hardware a little bit more than myself, had them look at stuff. Everything's coming together, so it's going to feel really good to be able to do that by, like I said, probably the very next video. Last thing before I actually get to the topic today is what I'm still actually considering, because I surprisingly have enjoyed making a couple videos with my face a little bit more than I initially anticipated. I may try to incorporate that maybe a little bit more. I don't know if I'll be doing entire videos this way, but I might try to do something where I mix it up between like video game footage and my face, you know, and just kind of like the vlog format kind of thing, you know. So I don't know, I'll kind of ask you guys, you know, for all of my viewers and fans out there, what do you guys think? Do you have a preference? Do you not care? Do you want me to just stick with video game footage entirely? Is that more interesting than just watching a guy talk to a camera? Because like I said, I know a lot of people do that. I don't think it's the most interesting way to make all of your videos. Maybe I will do it occasionally. You guys tell me, do it occasionally, do it never, intersperse it in the same video. I mean, give me some feedback and I'll try to work it in and make it, you know, fun for me to make and entertaining for you guys to watch. That's kind of the way I like to do that stuff. Also, I do have to mention I started to get a little bit of feedback from my last video on one of the posters behind me, which I've since moved, and it is this bad boy right here, my Soul Calibur 2 Link poster. The only reason I'm pointing that out is because, like I said, a lot of people brought it up. And, well, a couple people brought it up. And that is one of my prized possessions. I mean, you should just know how rare that thing is. I'm really proud to have it. That was from the days in 2003 when I was managing a GameStop and Soul Calibur 2 was coming out. And there were, you know, very famously at that time, the 3 editions for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox, and each version had an exclusive character. PlayStation 2 had Heihachi from Tekken, which is kind of lame, but it's also a Namco fighter, that's why they did that. Spawn was in the 360, or oh my god, the original Xbox version, which is a great character, and he was cool, but he didn't really control all that well. And then Link, of course, was put in the GameCube version, and that was badass. Everyone lost their minds. They thought it was great. Link was a fantastic character, a little bit cheap, but he was still a great character for the game, and he fit really well. And that version sold astronomically better than the other 2 versions. So we got in one of these big, huge scrolls. These are scrolls. It's like, my hand isn't where I want it. This is a wall scroll, basically, and it's like really nice material. We got one for each of the 3 versions of the game, and I snagged that shit up immediately. I was like, that is mine, I will fight you for it. And I won, and I basically took it home. So anyway, just because I got some comments, I wanted to kind of brag about that for just a quick minute. So anyway, that boring stuff aside, getting to the topic at hand today. So there's been some mostly actually cool information the last couple of days revealed about the upcoming game Alien Isolation, which I think looks pretty awesome. And what they're doing is they've announced some of the DLC plans for the games. And the thing is, most of what I want to talk about in the DLC side isn't really positive news, but I still want to talk about the DLC in and of itself, because I think the game looks very good, and I think the DLC is pretty cool looking. What they announced is that they're actually going to be releasing DLC for pre-order bonus, so that's one of the things I'm not too thrilled about. But the DLC in and of itself are 2 missions reuniting the original cast from the original film. I mean the original Alien. I think that's older than probably most, if not all, of my viewers. I honestly was only born the year after the original movie came out, which was in 1979. And so they got all the original cast and almost all of those original actors and stuff too, with the exception of Ian Holm, to come back and reprise their roles as these characters for 2 missions for the DLC of Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation does not take place, I don't think, during the events of the films. And it's got no, to my knowledge, no characters from any of the films. I could be wrong, and if I am, please feel free to correct me, but I don't think it does. So when they announced this for the DLC, it was cool, A, because it's complete immersion into the movie universe, and very specifically the original classic. And the other cool thing, number two, is the fact that it's got the original cast, including Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. That is so fucking badass. Like, anyone who's seen that movie or grew up with it like I did, that is amazing. This is really, really exciting. So the DLC is cool content. It's a great product. I think it's really neat. But what I'm sort of struggling with, and it's weird that these two videos I had to make, you know, vlog format, I had to kind of talk about something that looks cool, but I have something negative to talk about it, which I don't normally do, but that's just the coincidence that it's been. So what I don't really love about this, and I'll be very curious to hear your guys' feedback and your personal opinions. This is just my personal opinion. Okay, so first, there's a couple things. What I don't really like is the idea of pre-order DLC, and I'm going to talk about why. This will probably be most of the video here. To me, DLC is something that I already had to warm up to for quite a while. I'm used to it now, so that those days are long gone. But when it was first coming out and becoming like a new sort of common thing during the last generation, you know, very big on the 360 and the PS3, around 2008 or so, it was becoming a really, really common thing. And it was like, it was always tough for me to sort of analyze or put together how I really felt about the idea of DLC, because, you know, on the one hand, you have this game that you really enjoy, and maybe you've completed or played to death and you have nothing else to do, and you love the game, but it's done, and you can't enjoy it like you had before. And that's what we all go through with games that we like. And through the DLC, it's like, well, hey, here's a game you like, and now here's a little bit more. Here's an extra mission, here's an extra map, here's some other cool places to explore, things to do. You know, at the time, it was very primarily single-player stuff. The Call of Duty DLC stuff and things like that didn't pick up for another year or two. And so that is a cool idea. Extend the life of a game that you really like, and a story that you really like. Characters you enjoy spending time with and learning about. Play more of a game you like as if it's brand new. And that is cool. And I have played some DLC and purchased some DLC in that respect, and I've liked a lot of it. Very recently, BioShock Infinite was a great example. The Burial at Sea stuff was awesome, and that was totally worth the 15 bucks a piece. Kind of pricey, but still worth it just because I loved the game so much, and I thought the DLC was awesome. So, you know, on the one hand, there's that positive side to the idea of DLC. But the other hand is I had always had this sort of icky feeling in myself about this, and it's persisted throughout these whole last several years, even until today. Even though, again, I accept it much more today, it's still something that I think about, and I did at the time that it was becoming brand new, is that it feels like it's either a sign that the game was incomplete, and so they just release the incomplete game at the full price most of the time, and then release extra stuff that probably should have just been included in the game initially, separately, down the road, for more money. And so that I never really loved. The other kind of thing about it is the fact that it almost felt like that stuff didn't belong. I've always looked at it as, once the game is done, complete, packaged, and sold, most especially if it is sold at the full retail price, which is usually 50 or 60 bucks, it's like, that's it, the game is done, and it should be done. So this extra surplus stuff almost feels like just that. It's surplus. It doesn't necessarily belong within the realm of that game or the canon of that game. I would almost rather have always had it been just a whole separate game. It's almost like, I looked at it like, half-assing and kind of shitting out this little extra thing, like, oh, here's this thing we accidentally made, here's another map to part of Fallout 3 or whatever, you know? And that's kind of how it felt. Now, again, this is not considering the fact that a lot of DLC certainly has turned out to be really good, you know, and if you have liked a lot of DLC, more power to you. You know, this is just my personal take. Again, that's kind of stuff I was more looking at it as back in the day, 2008, 2009 kind of era, you know? But still, some of that has, you know, permeated within me this whole time until nowadays still, where it's like, God, I feel like if the game isn't complete, you shouldn't release it. Or if you release it, leave it to be complete. You know, patches and fixes to the performance of the game is one thing, but extra content, it's like, why do that? You know, unless it's free. And honestly, to tell you the truth, the dollar value does sort of affect the way I look at it. When there's free extra DLC, like, which certainly has happened and does still today, that's totally different. That's just a bonus. But when you're selling it, it's like, well, why did you remove it from the game in the first place? Or why did you keep it out of the game in the first place? And yada, yada. So anyway, that's that whole idea. Again, mostly speaking about a couple of years ago. Nowadays, DLC is a little bit different. We're so used to it. It's more accepted. The quality of it sometimes is so fantastic that it's okay. And it's just implemented, I think, a little bit better than initially. So a lot of the concepts, at least that I was feeling, that maybe it doesn't belong and it means the original game wasn't released complete, I don't really adhere to a lot of that specific stuff as much anymore. So that brings us to the Alien Isolation thing, which is an example of DLC that I think content-wise is pretty awesome. I think they're doing a great job. This is maybe kind of how you handle it. But now we have this thing where DLC is becoming a pre-order bonus, and I know we've been having things like in-game items, in-game weapons, and maps, and armor or costumes and stuff can be like a pre-order bonus. And like, I've never gotten excited about that stuff, but it's never really bothered me. It's like, okay, well, maybe some people like that. It doesn't get me excited about a game or pre-ordering it, but I get that maybe other people like that stuff, so that's been fine. Some people get really mad about that. I don't get mad about that. I just don't really care. This is a little bit weirder because this is game content. This is a mission. This is a story. This is characters to play. This is environments to traverse, you know? And I don't want to say enemies. It's an enemy because there's one alien, very famously in the Aliens movie, you know? So there's an enemy to engage in and, you know, encounter with and interact with and do things. So like, you know, the main protagonist that will end up being, or sorry, antagonist that will actually end up being in the official game, you know, the Alien Isolation game. So I kind of feel like that's sort of cheating and unfair to have DLC and to release it this way. Now here's the thing though, it kind of seems like this DLC might be free, in which case, of course, that does sort of affect things. If they're not charging for it, makes it a little bit okay to swallow. But at the same time, my personal taste is I would almost rather it not be dangled over our heads as DLC and say, well, maybe you can play this if you pre-order, but if you don't pre-order, then you can't do that. I would almost rather it be the game releases, it's what it is, and then just release it as normal $5, $10, or $15 DLC in a couple of months or even a year or so. I think that that would almost be better. And I know that seems silly because in a roundabout way, I'm kind of opting in to pay money for something as opposed to getting it for free. And yes, that's a little bit ludicrous, but it's more the principle of the thing, removing the money factor for that specific conversation. I just feel like maybe that would be better, you know, to do it that way. Here's the other thing that actually bothers me about this too, is the fact that there's these two missions and they're completely different. I think that there's, let me see. So again, I got my computer here, so that's why I keep looking over just to make sure to get the facts and stuff. So there's, let's see, the first mission is called the, that's the second one there. The Nostromo mission is what it's called. The Nostromo edition, sorry. So the Nostromo edition, which seems to be almost anyone who pre-orders from anywhere will get that mission. And I'm not going to go into the details of what the actual mission is. It sounds cool. Nostromo is the ship that they're on in the movie. And then the other one is called Last Survivor. I thought one was called Crew Expendable. There's a couple of different ones here. So the other one, yeah, Last Survivor, that's going to be available through certain retailers in different territories. So that's that. Not everyone will get that. And then here it is, Crew Expendable is another one available in other retailers in other territories. So it seems like the one is universal. That's cool. The Nostromo edition, that is universal. And apparently the Last Survivor mission and the Crew Expendable mission, those both, again, sound very cool if you read the synopses. I think it's synopses. If you read those, they sound awesome. But not only are they dangling this over our head as saying you might only get this if you pre-order it, but now you can only get some of it. It's hard to tell if they're going to say, if you can just get all of the DLC in any one place, you know? And I'm wondering is it going to become a thing where after the game launches, are they going to release the stuff available for sale down the road? Or if they don't do that, does that mean there's no way to get all of the DLC content, this awesome old school Alien movie cast DLC together? Like, is there no way to get all of this stuff together? And if so, that's so wrong, I think. Like, and it may not be this way. You know, maybe it does turn out there could be some other facts that either A, I don't know, or B, just haven't been revealed yet that will show us how we can get all this stuff. But right now, it doesn't seem that way. And the fact that it's being handled before the game is released, it just kind of just doesn't sit with me well. You know, I just think that that's not the best way to handle it. And maybe part of the reason that I'm a little bit angry about it is that you could even just say maybe I'm a little bit bitter because honestly, the DLC looks awesome. It's really a kudos and a compliment to the studio and the DLC itself that it looks so great. I want to play it because I'm already going to be getting the game. I can't wait to play Alien Isolation itself. This DLC is great. It's a great bonus for anyone who plays the game and for anyone who knows the original film. Like I know the original film very well. I grew up with it and Aliens, you know. So I just think this whole pre-order before the game launches, announcing DLC, and then, you know, this whole certain DLC in certain territory thing, they'll probably release a Game of the Year edition eventually where you can pay a little bit extra and get all the DLC in once, and that's cool, you know, but, you know, what I really wanted to be able to do is purchase the game on day one, and then in a couple months get the DLC. All the DLC. I want it available to me. Like, I think, to all of us, I think that's the way it should be handled, you know? And so going back to the pre-order DLC, the announcement of here's DLC before the game is out, I feel like that's not how DLC should be handled. It should be stuff that you continue to work on, live and breathe in this space. If it's already done, I have to say this, and I know many people may disagree, but I'm just saying this to stick up for the gamer. I think if it's done, it should be in the game. It should be part of the game. How dare you create stuff and then just hold it aside? I just don't think that that's a very appropriate, right thing to do. That is totally not okay. It's a weird way to sort of fight for the dollar, and I just, it doesn't sit with me well. At the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be a product of the system and a little bit of a hypocrite, and I'm probably going to get it. Like, I want this DLC. I think it looks amazing. So the quality of the product, which is most important, you know, let's not be crazy, that is the most important thing, is selling me on the product. So I just want it to be easy and relatively affordable to pick up and have all of this DLC available with my complete retail copy of Alien Isolation, you know. And the final point I'm trying to make here too is that the way this is being handled with the DLC announced and completed before the game comes out, you know, like hanging in front of us like a carrot to a rabbit before the game, saying pre-order the game, and you get this thing which you should have access to regardless. And the fact that the DLC is split up in different territories and retailers and things, I just don't want that stuff to become more of a trend. I think it will, especially if this is successful, which it probably will be. I think that this will be more and more common. I hope it won't, though. That's just going to be the way I look at things and hope about things and dream about them. You know, don't do this, don't make this comment, because I just don't think that it's fair or really that okay. You know, DLC, it should be this perfectly executed complement to a game, especially after it's done. If you, whatever you make for a game before you launch it, it should be there. It should be ours, you know. And yes, you know, if it's free, which it kind of sounds like it's free, you know, it's hard to argue free. It's almost like once it's free, you sort of have free reign to do whatever with it that you want. And that's true, but I just still think that this could be handled a little bit better. So I don't know. Pretty interesting topic. There's honestly, to tell you the truth, every point I made, I could see the pros and cons to it all around. You know, I mostly just wanted to say I hope this doesn't become too much of a trend overall. Like, I think this could be a bad kind of trend for gaming and DLC content in the future. But I think with this generation, this new generation, it's probably going to be that way. So, I don't know. We'll see. So that's, I guess that's pretty much it. You know, that's the DLC conversation. Again, Alien Isolation just looks badass. I can't wait to play the game. Hopefully you're the same way. So that's the most important thing. The DLC also looks badass. All I want is to have access to all of it. I don't want it split up, and I don't want it teased before I buy the game. I just want it available, whether I buy it or it's free. I want it all together. Make it make sense, make it simple, make it easy to get access to. That's what's most important. So that's it. Those are my thoughts and my feelings on it. You know, again, what do you guys think? I could see people falling on many different sides on this conversation. You know, if you're excited about the game and or the DLC, which side do you fall on? Do you think this is fair, not fair? Do you think it's overkill? Do you think it's not? You know, if you think that I'm totally in the wrong or you just totally disagree, you know, feel free to share that. I love hearing that stuff, and, you know, most other people do too. So keep the conversations going. Again, probably the last video seeing my entire face. I'm going to be going back to the awesome regular video game footage format next time. I had all the Shovel Knight footage that I captured and haven't been able to use it. I can't wait to show some more of that. I went back and did some other old school gaming things, so I'll probably show all sorts of cool things. And so I'm just really excited to get back to the regular format, not be filming my face on my flippin' iPhone. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in, of course, as always. Feel free to subscribe to Rule of Two Review if you like what I'm doing, you like the channel, and you like my face since you just barely got to see it. And like and share the video. You can share your thoughts about the DLC and Alien below. And that's it. So thanks for tuning in. I, of course, will catch you guys next time.